Hey everyone, welcome to Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk. This is William Kale again. Don't have video tonight. I'm actually up in northern Wisconsin here. Hopefully my internet doesn't drop out during the middle of this. Once again, William Kale from Coinigy.com. We're a professional tools for cryptocurrency traders. We provide charting and trading. You can actually connect your exchange accounts directly within the platform and trade directly on the chart. It's a great platform. Check us out at Coinigy.com. Along with me is Rob Borden, my
Hello.
business partner and co-founder of Coinigy. He said hello there as I drowned him out with my talking.
Hello
And
there.
hello there. And then, as usual, we have Brian Beamish here from The Rational Investor. How
Hey
you doing,
guys,
Brian?
good, good. How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay in this mid-August slump here.
Yeah,
Everything
what's
is
the
low.
what's the humidity like up in northern Wisconsin right now?
It's really not too bad. It's high 60s, low 70s. Today, I think it got up into the high 70s. So
Oh wow.
I'm about, I live in Milwaukee. I'm about 5.5 hours north of Milwaukee, and the weather difference is actually pretty steep. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty
still
warm and
enjoying it
humid
though.
down here.
Where are you, Rob?
Well, I'm just in southern Wisconsin in
Uh,
Milwaukee,
oh, okay, yeah.
Rob's just outside of Milwaukee,
So
actually.
that's where the center of the universe is, Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
the center of the
Yeah,
crypto universe,
that's right, baby.
coming right out of there, the heartland of the U.S.
No.
eh?
I heard,
Corn country.
yeah, what was it, Alex Sturk, I
Oh,
think,
corn
on
guns.
Block Talk. On Block Talk, the other day somebody asked him where Coinigy was based, and he said, "Oh, I think they're in those middle states somewhere." But yeah, so got a
I'll
great show
take
for you
it.
guys as usual. I think I have a delay because Rob keeps talking and whatever. I don't know.
No, I'm
Got a
just
great show
talking
for
over
everybody,
you. That's all.
and we're gonna, as usual, give a little bit of Coinigy platform updates, and we'll jump into the altcoin 5. But first, Brian, did you want to give a little rundown of the Rational Investor? You guys have a new class coming up soon, right?
Yeah, we have a new semester starting week after Labor Day. Would love to get one of you two into the fall program here. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Hopefully we can get something going there. Hope, hope, hope,
That's
hope, hope,
becoming
hope.
more and more of an actual possibility. Trust me.
Okay, good to hear. Good to hear. Um, yeah, and you know what I really like? There was one gentleman who said it so well over the winter time. Everybody loved his saying. He said, Brian doesn't fish for you, and he really doesn't even teach you how to fish. What Brian does is he teaches you how to build a fishing pole, and so you'll be able to fish. And if you don't have a fishing pole, you'll be able to build a fishing pole for the rest of your life. And I thought that was a really cool way to describe what I do. There's so many different ways to play this market, from altcoins to Bitcoin to, of course, now you can use crypto to trade stocks, all the major commodities. You can go full bore, full leverage. I think there's like, all right, isn't there one exchange that's got like 100 to 1 now leverage? What exchange? I know there was one crazy one
I
that came
know.
up recently.
I know. BitMEX just offered. Isn't it like 35 to 1 or something like that?
I remember some of the futures contracts were pretty high, but anyway. So the
Yeah.
point is, if that's the type of person you are, basically, you can take the tools that you learn from our program and apply them to that kind of trading. And conversely, like I like to call it the little old lady strategy, but when I was a stockbroker, this was often the best strategy to use for people who really didn't know what the heck they were doing in the market. And the little old lady strategy trading the altcoins is up a good 60, 70% on the year. So, there's so many ways to make money in this market, and every investor is so different. That that's the one thing I really like about our program is what we're going to teach you is just the basics behind the actual running a small business of trading. And so that's what I'm really excited about with the program, and the feedback that we're getting is just phenomenal. I was even pleased to hear you were mentioning Alex Sturck. He had said that one of our students who took the program over the summer said that he enjoyed it and thought it was really good value on his show. So, it sounds to me like the information is well received. I think it's fantastic value. And what's really cool is I tweeted, somebody was asking me the other day, and we'll talk about it later on tonight, about Ethereum. I mean, I don't have an account on Kraken, so even taking a trade on it is completely unrealistic for me. But they had asked me, what's your 2 cents? And the cool part about it is, I laid out a nice little roadmap for how a trade would set up and the kind of things that you should hunt for, and it was beautiful the way it all played out, just absolutely textbook. And the end result was a nice 2-to-1 risk reward on a 30-minute Ethereum chart. We'll take a look
Yeah,
at it later.
I saw that tweet, Brian.
Yeah, and I tweeted, I said, hey, look at anybody looking at our videos, anybody looking at this tweet, you guys can do this too. It's not that difficult. You just need to know what it is that you actually need to do. So, and that's the cool part about our program, is we basically teach you what it is that you need to do.
Yeah, and I can honestly, I started on Brian's last semester. Unfortunately, with the duties of my day job and Coinigy, I wasn't really able to make it all the way through. But from the few classes that I sat in on, I mean, it's mind-blowing stuff. I mean, Brian really goes, he starts at the fundamentals. I mean, we're talking about oil and just demographics and how baby boomers are aging and stuff like that you don't even really consider when you're just looking at a stock chart, but it all plays together. And just the little that I learned in the few classes, Brian, I mean, honestly, it's given me a new outlook. So I would highly recommend it to anybody who's looking to learn how to trade and learn how to chart and build a fishing pole.
Thank you very much, sir. I see we got Julian on here, so I'm not alone. Hi, Julian.
Hey, how is everybody?
Hey, Julian.
Welcome.
Sorry I'm a little late. I was talking to my grandpa, couldn't cut him off. Didn't want to be rude to my elders.
I know how that. Well, you were supposed to just say, "Grandpa, I got to go do some Bitcoin thing."
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
2 hours later.
Brian, you would love to talk to him, I bet. Just real quick, he's 87 years old, okay? He stopped working when he was 43 and has lived off his investments in the market since.
Wow.
He's made the past 5 years an average of over $100,000 a year just on dividends.
Yeah, well,
that's what he
can happen.
The guy makes more money than I do. He makes almost twice what I do, and he doesn't work at all.
Yeah, well, see, now he's got there's the money equation, and it's really cool. It turns out that if you hit a certain level, if you hit a certain amount of assets, it actually becomes hard for you to actually spend the money.
It does.
Yeah.
That's why he gets a new car every other year.
Anyway, I thought it was, I saw you, Julian, so I just wanted to say hi. Didn't mean to cut you short, Will. Thank you very much for the wonderful review and commentary about our school and our program. And by all means, I'm here to help you guys. So the cool part about it, for people who are watching the show, if you're quick-witted and if you pick up on everything that I talk about here and write notes, there's one gentleman on Twitter who's literally been writing notes over our entire shows here from Coinigy, and he's picked up a lot of the stuff that I've tried to impart on you. So everybody who's watching the program, please understand that the stuff that I teach in the course is the stuff that I'm telling you guys, and some of the tutorials that are sitting on Coinigy website. And each and every one of you can go watch those tutorials and learn all the tools that I talk about here at your leisure.
Yeah, and I should mention too, we put those tutorials up for anybody. They're also at bitcointrading.net, so make sure to check out bitcointrading.net. We're throwing up videos there. That's where the podcast is hosted, and it's on iTunes and all that fun stuff as well.
Yeah, cool. I guess we don't have JC doing the news. I think he said he's at work right now, which sucks. He's down under right now, so. Poor guy. He's
Well, we could
this is
probably. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But we could probably. I mean, do we only talk about crypto? I mean, we should talk about currencies in general, right? Since Bitcoin is a currency.
sure. We could talk about anything you want.
About what just happened in China with the devaluation. I mean, that's kind of throwing everybody for a whirl.
Yeah, it's funny. I put out a tweet. I said, "Now here's something that nobody expected," and that's the beautiful part about the trading world, right? I used to have a broker buddy of mine who said, "You, no matter how hard you try, you cannot write better fiction than reality." And I think that's a perfect example where if you sat 100 guys in a room and said, "Okay, think of some scenarios that would throw the market for a total loop here," I bet nobody would have said, "Oh, China's going to devalue their currency." So it's a great commentary on how you just can't nobody can know the future for certain. My general feeling, for whatever it's worth, I think that the Chinese basically are on a long-term plan of creating a free-floating currency. But it's very hard to pull a behemoth like the country of China into the 21st century. I think it's kind of like an ebb and flow kind of thing, where a couple years ago the Americans were really putting the Chinese to the screws to float their currency. I think that they had let it float quite a bit, and the Chinese currency had appreciated quite a bit. It gotten so much so that they actually started to become uncompetitive relative to their trading partners around them, and that's been reflected in the data. I mean, the data coming out of China these days is not really that great, is it?
No, not at all.
So I think it's a perfectly natural reaction by the Chinese to just say, okay, you know what, we played the game, the currency moved up, it took us to an uncompetitive place, our economy's getting hurt, we're trying a number of different measures to try and put a floor underneath our economy, and if we have to go back, if we have to, it's kind of like 3 steps forward, maybe 1 step back. Let's hope it's not 2 steps back, but maybe 1 step back. um, and that's sort of the impression that I get from the whole experience. The interesting thing about it is that the Chinese exchange traded fund that I follow still isn't back to the area where I expect it to go to actually justify buying China. So technically speaking, the Chinese stock market hasn't gone far enough yet. I still want more. More pain, more pain.
Yeah, I wonder what implications this is going to have on China's new burgeoning middle class too. I mean, is this going to, I know that at this point, I mean, they're building empty cities. I don't know if you've seen those documentaries. I mean, is that going to slow things down in their economy, or is this going to have no effect because this is mostly on a global scale?
Well, my input here, I think, is something along the lines that communist totalitarian dictatorships are not market-based economies. That may seem like a silly statement. I apologize if it is, but really it's that simple. And Russia had to go through the very painful process of the market finding the bottom, right? And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, basically the dissolution of the Soviet Union, all basically all the component states going off in their own directions, and mafioso, basically street wars. Basically the market had to find where the bottom was. It's interesting, in Russia it went from there was no lines at the stores, but there was nothing on the shelves. Or maybe it's the other way around.
Yeah.
There were massive lines at the stores, but there really wasn't a lot of choice, right? That's sort of during the Soviet Union. Then when the Soviet Union broke apart, it went to there was no lines at the stores anymore, but the prices were so high nobody could afford anything, right? And that was sort of the natural transition, extremely painful, from a command economy to a market economy. I don't think the Chinese ever actually went through that process. And I still saw a lot of sort of documentary talk about how a lot of the sort of regions of China, they just sort of pay lip service to the Communist Party.
Mhm.
And it's not like everybody's on board, right? The communists are still in control. It's not a free market. It's not a free flowing system. There's still a lot of capital controls, and I think that everybody was kind of hoping, keep our fingers crossed, that this sort of market-based economy would catch. Like if you prime an engine with enough, fuel, and then turn the ignition, it might catch. And I think that's what
Mhm.
the sort of the 2008 Olympic build-out was all about,
Yeah.
where the command central authority just injected a ton of capital, and they were hoping the end result would be a middle class that could sustain the economy locally. I think, unfortunately, the data is suggesting that China's still very much an export country, and unfortunately, I think it's still very much a command economy. Sorry, that was very
All right.
long-winded.
No, it's really interesting. Brian, you have an interesting perspective on everything, and I love hearing it.
Okay, I try. I
But
don't
yeah,
want
we should probably jump into a little bit of Coinigy discussion.
Yeah, I want to hear
Get
what's
things
going on with
moving
Coinigy.
here. Yeah, so I guess Rob I was gonna have Rob go through. We have a new WebSocket server and wanted to go over our API stuff a little bit. So Rob, take it away.
Sure.
Oh,
So
API.
if you guys were all around last night, you would have noticed maybe that we had a little bit of scheduled downtime. And what we were doing was moving all of our WebSocket data feeds over from a third-party service called Pusher, which we were using, to our own WebSocket service hosted within our own Google Cloud infrastructure. And so the end result of that has been quite a bit faster data updates to the UI, mainly because Pusher had like a constant rate messaging and it was basically throttled. So like on OKCoin or some of the other high volume exchanges, sometimes the messages would start to get a little bit bogged down basically. And that doesn't happen now. It keeps up really quick within probably within a couple seconds basically of when it's published by the exchange. It's hitting the UI on Coinigy.com.
Yeah, and can I chime in too, Rob? Just in case there's anybody listening that doesn't really understand what WebSockets are, it's kind of the new protocol of browsers in HTML5 to allow for real-time communication, and that's basically where all the real-time data on Coinigy is getting pushed back and forth is via the WebSockets protocol. Just wanted to add that.
No, absolutely. So this is really going to open up some more opportunities for us in terms of future development with faster notifications about trades and price alerts and volume alerts once we get those released. And then in the future, once we start working on, the next iteration of Coinigy, it will be completely based off of this WebSocket infrastructure that we just rolled out.
Rob, also you missed the most important thing of all. We're now co-located in China for Chinese exchanges. So we now are utilizing one of Google's data centers in China to get much quicker, lower latency updates from OKCoin, and we're in the process of migrating Huobi and Lake BTC and the rest of the Chinese exchanges over to that new data center.
BTCC.
Yep.
Yep. So that's about it as far as the WebSockets. That's the main thing that we've been working on for the last few weeks, in just getting that all set up and ready to go into production. Also, just wanted to mention again that our API is live now. for private account transactions like placing orders, canceling orders, viewing balances. You can do that on multiple exchange accounts using just one API integration. So we released that just a couple of weeks ago, and you can access the API keys through the settings menu under My Account. There's a Coinigy API tab there, and you can generate an API key and use that to interact with your account. So I think without further ado, we should move on to the Altcoin 5 with Brian and get into some technical analysis.
Sounds good to me. What do you think, Ryan?
Sure, if you're ready for me. Everybody strap in.
We're ready.
I don't know if I'm ready. Hold on. Give me 30 seconds here. I get my extra seatbelt.
All right, so we put out a tweet. I've been pretty preoccupied over the past week or so, so I didn't do the full chart write-ups, but thanks to Coinigy's nice user interface, I get sort of my preferred tools, and I think, like I said, we've done all these tutorials, so you guys should have a pretty good idea of what it is that I'm looking at here. Before we get into the altcoins that were specifically asked about, I thought I'd just do a quick boo at good old Bitcoin. Some people are like, they tweet me just asking, so Brian, what do you think of Bitcoin?
Which exchange is this?
Was it Rob?
Bitstamp.
I think. Yeah, I asked what exchange would you guys like me to look at, and he said Bitstamp. So I thought, what the heck, tonight we'd look at
Okay,
Stamp.
that's Bitstamp. Okay.
I think it's basically been the same message the whole year, right? Now we're into the 8th month. Our message at the beginning of the year was we figured that a trading range had been established. I think on balance, that message is still basically the same. You notice that we had some pretty good-looking market structure, set up half-decent buying opportunities down here in sort of this 230, 240 area. We wrote a few of these trades up here, made some nice coin, can't complain, made some profits. And then we basically closed out our positions. BTCE did its funny little games. You guys remember that. But the long and short of it here is you guys hopefully can clearly see. We have a candlestick pattern here. Unfortunately, it's not really textbook, but it's pretty close. This is what's called railroad tracks. Right at the top of the range, which really sucks. As we were racing up here, I remember we were doing our shows, I was feeling really, really optimistic about the Bitcoin story. And then we just came right up to the top of the range and reversed very hard. We've put in a little bit of a double top here. You can see how we've worked our way lower. I suppose if you're hunting for long entries just off the daily chart, I'm comfortable with just drawing a nice little fib study. Let's make sure we have the right settings on here. Let's go boom, 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 boom. All right, I think that should work. We'll throw on 50%. Why not? Okay, whoops, I got something too much here. 66 is on. There it is. Okay, and then let's reverse that. All right, so as you can see, our beloved reload zone. A special thanks to a gentleman by the name of Michael Huddleston. He originally deemed this the OTE. It seems to have gotten fairly popular on the internet. I like to call it the reload zone. It's basically between two fibs that I'm very interested in, good old mountain man level, and our line in the sand. So if I was considering purchases, I'm kind of thinking in here. We'll have to see, of course, how momentum and volume act. We can see that volume's put in a bit of a top here. And again, for those people that have taken our program and also watched the tutorials, we talked a bit about volume impetus. Let's put you over there. And we can see here, just based off the volume bars, that both the buyers and the sellers are kind of picking up here a bit, but the buyers have kind of backed off. For a bull to really be established, we want to see a nice W here on the green bars, W. And let's see a nice rally and take out some of these highs and ultimately this high here. That's when you'll sort of know that the market's back in bull mode. Let's put that there, and then let's move you back up here. All right, so the point of the matter here, top of the trading range, double top, momentum, moving average sell signal, volume sell signal. MACD kind of looking a bit heavy here. You know, you could argue a bit of a divergence as we were moving our way up. Willie didn't quite get stupid. Oh, yeah, he did get stupid. Yep, got stupid. So we were a little bit overbought here. Terrible, terrible place to be a buyer up here. And as you can see, we're sort of cleaning ourselves up. We're not quite stupidly oversold yet, but if we do, you know me, I'll be watching like a hawk. So, you know, for the time being, what am I doing on Bitcoin? Just watching. I'll be very interested, 240, 250 range on Bitstamp, which would basically be the original bottom here. And I'm going to be watching for indications from the internal indicators to do something. All right, so that's Bitcoin.
Sounds good.
All right,
Very nice.
as I said earlier, I just did a quick summary. I asked, I think Will was monitoring the posts fairly closely here today. I was a bit preoccupied, so I just asked him to suggest to me what the audience would like me to look at. So I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see what we got here today. We'll do this as sort
just
of a...
for the record, I want to say, you know, to anybody that suggested coins, I think in the future what we're going to do is, you know, whichever coins get the most retweets or the most comments, I think that'll be good because we had a lot of suggestions today and it was tough for me to figure out which coins were more popular. So I think we should do something. We'll have a little contest next time. You know, whichever coin gets, let's say most favorites or something.
Okay, that's not a bad idea at all.
Most retweets.
And if anything, what we should probably do is maybe if we could ask the audience, and maybe I'll try and make a note to put out a notice the day before we do this. Just to give me a little bit of time to do up these charts, and then maybe, you know, like the day before the Wednesday, that Tuesday night, I'll know the list, and then we can actually do up like a little tear sheet for you guys with the coins outstanding and links and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Definitely.
Something to think about. Something to think about. Okay, let's get back to our story here. Don't want to keep everybody here too long tonight. Okay, so the first one on the block that I was asked was GP. Anybody want to say anything about GP?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of research thanks to, I think his name was Secrets of Crypto on Twitter, suggested this one. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's named Gold Points. But from what I understand, Gold Pieces, yeah, there we go. And from what I understand, they have the ability, I don't know if it exists yet or if they're still working on it, but the ability to basically exchange directly for I think Steam points and a couple other games. You know, certain online games have their own in-game currency, and they're working on kind of making a crypto coin that allows one-to-one exchange or whatever the conversion rate is, an exchange between those in-game currencies. So,
all right.
Has a little bit of an actual story behind it as opposed to some of these other.
Yeah.
Only 1 million coins out, so that's nice. Total market cap here, 36,000. So you know what you're getting involved in here. You know, when I look at the chart, this looks a bit familiar, but you know, hopefully you guys see the reoccurring themes from me. I'm a really big fan of market structure, and you know what? This is just my approach to the market. You could probably find people that are like, you know what? In fact, we have one site member who he hunts for really big down bars. That gets him really excited. You know, I'm going to talk about the way I approach the market. I'm not going to say it is quote unquote the right way or the correct way. It's just the way that I trade. So for those of you that are maybe critical of my entries, you know what? You take it for the amount that you're actually paying to watch this program, right?
Which, by the way, we'll tweet out our donation address after.
The point here is, this is the way that I trade. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the way that you trade. And, like I love doing full disclosure. I tell everybody in this crypto community exactly what it is I'm doing. And I love doing that. What I find fascinating is some people actually have the audacity to actually come out and insult me for my strategy. It's very odd. But anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest. So,
That's just the internet, Brian. You're never going to get around that, unfortunately.
indeed, eh? Okay, so if we looked at this one, hopefully you guys can see there's a lot of reasons for me to be really interested down in here, right? And that's what, 2000? Jeez, I'm getting to be an old man. I can't even read. Yeah, it looks to be around 2000, right?
Yep.
We had, at least a encouraging momentum condition here where this low was higher than these lows, even though price was kind of floundering here. We had Willie, stupid, all that kind of fun talk. And clearly something significant happened right in here, right? And so, we've had coins like Arch that put in. Do you guys remember when we talked about Arch?
Oh, yeah.
How it put in these kind of bottoms. Does this look kind of familiar to you guys? Seeing this kind of bottoming action?
Yep. Yeah,
Right?
Arc or Arch did that for quite a while.
Yeah, and actually the channel was really long, wasn't it?
Yep.
So the bottom line here is that, here we are today, right? I'm not saying that you should do something here today, because frankly speaking, it's a flip of the coin as to whether it craps out back down to the original bottom or turns and heads higher, right? Total flip of the coin. What I will say is if I wanted to be a buyer, this is the area that I'd really want to be long from. And really, I would ideally like to just sit on this guy's coattails and just ride his coattails. And what's really cool here, I don't know whether you guys can see this or not, but if you had missed this breakout here, look how the market gave you an opportunity to get in here and then again here. So
Yep.
you can't say that the market didn't give you the opportunity to get in. And this is another point that I would make about trading these cryptos and altcoins. People are like, oh, there's no way you could get filled in size here. Look at, on this day, you could have had all the coins you wanted at this level, right? Looks like the price even went beyond there, right? So you can't tell me that you couldn't have gotten a fill at this level. That's horse hockey, right? All right, so the point here is somebody asked me to look at this. Obviously, this isn't something I can consider buying today. I just can't.
I think that person should have already bought in and sold half on a double. And sold another
Right
half on a double.
on. Oh, music to my ears. Beautiful, right? So, yeah, if I had bought it too, then yeah. I think I probably would have been smart to let some go in the fours, right? There's a nice double. And then, of course, in the eights, here's 10,000, so you could have gotten another one off. And then, what's the next one? 16. So that's not bad. You could have gotten 1, 2, 3 doubles off, 300% return on your investment, and still have more free coins sitting on your books. That would be the way I would have wanted to play this story. When I look at the story now, I'm a bit concerned. It looks like we have a bearish momentum divergence forming here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
All right. You can see
Unless
how
I was shorting it. I might short. No, it's kind of in no man land.
Yeah, right now this is a bit dangerous, right? To do either or. The good thing for the bulls and people that are long-term bullish is that this is what's known as a V-top, right? We went straight up and straight down. So because it's a V-top, at some point down the road, this top should be tested. My hunch is, with only 1 million coins outstanding and with an actual use for these coins, my hunch is this coin is going much, much higher. The problem is that if I wanted to be long, I really got a hunt sorted down in here where the 200-period moving average is. So I can't get too excited right just yet. Make sense?
Yep, right on. Hey, you were asked to analyze it, and that's what you did.
I'm ready for the next one.
Yep.
Okay, next on the block. Boosh. Who do we got here? OC.
Yeah, OC, which is Orange Coin. Um,
Coin. What is
yeah,
that?
I mean, so somebody, this is a user request. I took a look at the Bitcoin Talk and thread, and honestly, to me, I mean, it seems like just another one of your standard Litecoin clones. I don't really see anything too special about it, other than it's got a unique name. If I'm missing anything, we do have the Q&A app open here to anyone that's watching. If you want to chime in, just go to the event page and submit a question or a comment. So if you know anything special about Orangecoin, let me know.
Yeah, if whoever asked us to look at this is watching this, pop in there and give us
Yeah,
your
or
spiel.
tweet at us. We'll see it on Twitter as
Yeah.
well.
All right, same sort of story, right? And hopefully you guys are probably seeing a bit of a theme here. You guys
Mm-hmm.
notice how in the fall and winter these things bottomed, right? And in the spring, summer, this thing topped last year and topped this year. You see that?
Yep.
I've seen this reoccurring pattern, and this is usually what happens in the junior market. Is just usually these rallies come in a little bit earlier. I've sort of talked a little bit about why I think this is happening with the altcoins, but I mean that's here nor there. The long and short of it here is, this is the situation as is. So, this is going to be a bit of a broken record, right? If we look at the chart, right, I like buying down markets, right? Remember, institutions buy down markets, they sell up markets, right? So if I see a down market, that's when I start getting interested, right? Interesting here how, I guess, and we got to be careful, is this the ICO or is this the actual first listing date of this coin? And I suppose that's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment with the Ethereum coming up later on. So I don't know whether this is the ICO or just the first date that this was listed. But
Yeah, I'm not sure
nonetheless,
either. I think it might be on some other exchanges too. It'd be interesting to see if any of the other ones have more history on that coin. But
all right, so I often see this too, right? Where you see that they basically, when this thing came to market, we'll call it that, came to market, right?
We're not going to say IPO'd?
Well, we can't say that. Oh my God. No.
ICO. Aren't they calling it ICOs now?
No, we can't say that. I got into a lot of shit over the past week or two. So.
Really?
Oh God,
what can you say?
we'll wait for Ethereum. We'll talk about that later. All right. So the point of the matter here is they brought this thing to market, right? And like you said, there might have been trading on Cryptsy for a lot longer, but we'll just go off of Bittrex here. They put in this low end of the range, and this low is really important, right? Because they took the market up after that. These lows needed to hold for this premise, whatever the premise was here, for it to be validated and the market can move higher. You can clearly see they came down and tested it and said, oh, maybe not. Then came down and broke it. The fact that they broke these lows, right, lower highs and lower lows equals a bear market, and you can see it had to go through sort of a nice consolidation phase. Now, what I find really cool about this is look how this original low now set up the bottom, right? So if the market could recapture this original low, not only do we form, important market structure down here, nice W, right? But we've actually gone back into this original range here. So you can see how important this battle zone is. And if I wanted to be a bull, right, ideally, and this is sort of the commentary I did for that Ethereum the other day, was I simply said, wait for the market structure to come in. And here, you can see we sort of went down, then up, then down, then broke out, right? We went through that high there. Sorry, it's all squiggly. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that and that. Okay, so double bottom, right? Down, up, down, breakout, confirmed here. At this point, if you want to be really slick, it's at this point that you start hunting cheap entries. So this is where we use our reload zone to its best effect. And hopefully you guys can see this afforded you one heck of a slick entry. So if you had the kahunas, you could have gotten filled right in here playing this original double bottom. And actually, when we get to Ethereum later, we'll see another example of that. Well, okay, so the point here is this is where I want to be long, right? Right down in here, right? As Will would say, even if I waited and I bought the double bottom breakout, which some would say, oh, you're too late, oh, terrible trade, I don't really care. The point here is if you had bought this double bottom breakout here, that's 93 ticks, well, sell half on a double. So, right, oh, look at that. You even got a fill right here. So you bought here. That was a total of middle of October. And by January, you were filled. You got your free coins.
Yeah, you got to wait a little bit, but it's worth the wait.
Well, and you know, that's the irony of it all, right? Is that this, in the stock market's eyes, is a heartbeat.
Right, and in an altcoin land, it's forever. Everybody wants instant returns. They want their 10x in 30 minutes of trade, you know?
Well, and again,
patience is a virtue.
Right. I mean, I'm an old man, right? I think of annualized returns. If I can do 30-40% annualized returns on my portfolio, I've outperformed like 95% of all investors ever.
Right.
Yeah, that would be epic.
And that's, you know, a lot of crypto traders, they can't see the forest through the trees. They're concerned about just today, you know.
Yep. Yep.
So
you know,
that's a trend I'm noticing on Twitter all too often. So
right. And you know, really it's a function of what kind of risk and how your trading plan is. We could very easily, and like I said, this Ethereum trade that we'll look at later on, it was off a 30-minute chart, and the whole trade took, I think, about 12 hours to develop. So it really all depends on what your time frame is. When I'm asked to do my analysis and I want to invest in these things and actually, you know, hold myself accountable to the public for my ideas, I'm going to start with the daily chart. And I'm going to work off of the daily levels first. So just so you guys understand. And really, to be honest with you, you know, you guys, hopefully you guys are doing this 10, 20, 30 years from now. But if you can consistently get, you know, what did we say? That was 93, 180, so 360. Didn't quite get it there, got it there. So that's your second double. And then, of course, it went nuts here. Right, so 360 to 720, right?
interesting, the volume didn't skyrocket there.
Right, there's another double, then 720 up to 1400. You got another double, right? And look at you would have actually been able to tell your friends, look, I got filled right here on a sell order right up here. Right, and I mean, I guarantee you, when people are in the heat of the moment right here, it is very, very difficult to decide this is exactly where I want to sell. So that's why I like to sell half on a double strategy, because you end up doing a lot of these crazy trades where you're like, wow, I can't believe I got filled up there.
Yeah, and I like it too because, you know, by principle, you're still holding on to some coins. So, you know, you're not selling your entire position. You still have a little bit. If it goes crazy again or retraces, you're there to pick up even more.
Yep. So the volume is a little bit skewed because I haven't quite got used to having both of these indicators on the same pane. So I'm sorry, I kind of messed this up here. I think this has to be... right? Well, there we go. That's better. Okay, so this ramp up, if anything, this is a little bit of a warning sign to us, isn't it? We
Lots
made
of accumulation.
Well, we made higher highs in price, but volume is not making higher highs, is it?
Yeah, that's worrisome.
Right. So clearly, you know,
I would not buy it.
Well, yeah, I mean, as we had said before, if you were a buyer, and if we look at all our internal indicators, Look how when the market bottomed here, look at what OBV did through here. I mean, this is, I know one site member, Jonathan, he would love this, right? Oh boy, this is exciting. And sure enough, right, this is when the story really started to get going here, right? So, long and short of it here is, yeah, this story's over,
Yeah,
right?
it would have been perfect to buy back in like the August, October time frame. That was perfect because Willie was stupid, but you had the problem. How would you have known to buy it if Willie was stupid, right? But you didn't have at the time OBV bullish divergence.
Yeah. Really,
How would you have known to buy it? I mean, I don't know.
well, what I would simply say is, and I just need to get these silly scales right here. Are you going to work? Whoop. Now what did I do? Oh, well, don't worry about it. What I would simply say is you got to be honest and follow your trading plan. So if your trading plan specifically says OBV signals are in my plan and I have to have them confirm whatever price action I'm looking at, well, then you can't take the trade. Sorry. There and you guys have heard me talk at length. I know lots and lots of traders in this world that don't like using indicators at all, right? And because they consider them lagging information. So I'm not going to
Yep.
sit here and say OBV is the signaling tool and that's the tool that you got to use. I'm not going to say that. I could argue that just looking at this, especially off of, we just did this a moment ago, maybe you weren't here, Julian, but I said that market structure put in a W here. So there's a reason. As you said, Willie was stupid. That could have been a reason. You have basically it moved down to lows. Momentum hasn't quite broken out here, but you could have used OTE RLZ as a reason. So, and then the point here is, what kind of leverage are you using? Is this a little old lady trade where you just want to go and try and grab some of this at the bottom and you don't really need to worry too much about downside risk? Is this like a 20, 30 to 1 margin trade where if it breaks these lows, you better get the hell out? So there's a whole bunch of moving parts in your trading plan that would probably identify whether this was actually a trade you could take. Does that make sense, Julian?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Perfect
So,
sense. Thank you.
just as we sort of said with the last coin, this story's over, right? For a guy like me. I'm not saying that this is you, but for a guy like me, we should have been sitting on 3 or 4 doubles here, all excited, tons of profits, still on some free coins, but clearly it looks to me like now this thing's in cleanup phase, right? And
Well, I mean, Willie is stupid, right? And it looks like we have bullish divergence going on too. So that's 2 reasons already.
right, so you're suggesting that this low here, is that what you mean by
Yeah,
bullish
so you got
divergence?
Yep, so you got
All
like a
right.
little W there.
So if this was me, right, I suppose and I really wanted to trade this, and really I'm not feeling it. What I want to hunt for is this, right? So what I would ideally like to see with this, something like this, is just calm down.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what's going on with MACD.
Well, you're right. There is a bit of a bullish divergence. This is pretty wild action, and as I think it was Will who pointed out, the volume here is a bit suspect, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, I do like the fact that it came screaming back down here, but not on heavy selling, right? But for a guy like me, to consider actually taking a trade, this is a pretty wide range, right? From this low all the way up to this high, which is really kind of the trading range here. I want this thing to settle down a little bit. You're right, Willie is stupid, a little bit of a divergence. OBV isn't terrible. If we come in and maybe put in a tight little W, then maybe I can get excited. Right now, this is
I
just a
mean,
little too wide.
let's say someone's in it right now. What would you tell them to do? Hold? I would say hold.
Well, it all depends on where they're long from, right? If they're long from down here, they're laughing. If they're long from up here, I would almost say, you know what? is this a trading plan trade that you took, or was it just, a fly-by-the-night trade? If you're long, if you bought it up here, FOMO trade, I would almost be inclined to say, look at, what, book the loss, remind yourself, print this out, put it on your wall, and remind yourself never to FOMO again. That's what I would suggest doing, but most people don't like booking losses. So the knee-jerk reaction for somebody who did buy up here is, oh, I think I'll just hold on and I'll just keep my finger crossed and hope for the best. So it would really all depend on where you bought. Now, one sort of saving grace, I don't want to spend. Yeah, we're spending too much time on this one.
Yeah, I think we beat Orange Coin to a pulp.
Yeah, the only last thing.
Pun intended there.
The only last thing that I'll say here is that we're.
Wow. I know Julian likes that joke. I can't get over that one.
I know, but I'm trying not to take too much time, and I just want to finish this off. So just finish. Bear with me. We're coming into previous lows here. You see all these previous lows. Somebody put a stop to down moves when this happened before. So watch for moves against these lows, and if you want to take a chance against these lows, then that's not a terrible idea. But frankly, for me, I wouldn't touch it. Okay, I'm done with that one. On to the next one. I'm actually working up a bit of a sweat here. Can you believe that?
Here's your favorite coin.
Yeah, Ethereum. Man, this has been such a funny odyssey for me. So just a bit of background. I was tweeting away over the weekend about what I saw was this thing came to market, and it just totally faceplant. And I was just so disappointed in the way this thing traded right out of the gate. And I had made a tweet, and I'm trying to find it. Here it is. And think of this as like Joe Sixpack calls up his broker, or is new to the internet and likes these cryptos, and has been hearing lots about this Ethereum and lots of hype about it coming to market. And the moment that it comes to market, if this was a stock, he'd be calling me up saying, hey, Brian, should I buy this? Should I buy this? Or, it's a crypto. It finally has come to market. It was listed on Kraken. And what does it do right out of the gate? A complete faceplant. Now, I got into a little bit of trouble here in this crypto community, in that I mistakenly called this the ICO. Ay caramba, holy moly, did I ever run into a shitstorm.
Yeah, I was watching some of that drama. All
right, so the bottom line here is the comments that I was making about this was purely from an exchange-traded perspective. And what was interesting is, I think it was our last show. Didn't we take a look at this ETC?
Yeah, we did. Yep.
And we sort of talked a little bit about, the Ethereum ICO. And I remember, if we look back on the video, I wouldn't be surprised if we used the term ICO.
Yeah, I mean, I remember ETC we discussed as being kind of just a proxy.
That's right.
And I guarantee we did, mention ICO last show. So I mean.
Right. So this is what I was commenting about. I mean, the red line is the Ethereum, right? Listed, whacked.
Yep.
And then the ETC. Wow, somebody wrestling with their microphone?
Sorry, that's me.
Julian, are you eating Oreos again?
Not today.
So, this is what I was commenting on, was that what I see happening here was people have been waiting forever for this Ethereum listing, and they just got out in size. And, somebody had asked whether we should buy ETC heading into this, and I was kind of like, you know what, I think you should just leave this alone. They had the pre-pump right here, And frankly, I wasn't expecting this, but this is a meltdown. This is an absolute disaster. And I even commented publicly that I said that if this was an initial public offering in the stock market and it performed like this on its first day, this would be considered an unmitigated failure. In essence, in the stock market, they are the listers of the security. They will do everything in their power to have this close up on its initial listing day. The fact that it just opened and cratered, and any derivative associated with it cratered as well, in my opinion, in my professional working in the market 25 years, this was a failure. Now, the interesting thing about this is I went and did some reading on Ethereum, and it turns out that the actual fundamentals of Ethereum are very bad. They have a burn rate of something like $100,000 a day at one point.
Yeah, and that really blows my mind. I caught that as well. I mean, I understand, they're not, in terms of income, I think it's basically, based on coin value going up. But their whole platform and their income at some point depends on other people building on top of the Ethereum, blockchain, basically.
Right. And if I understand, there's also that NXT. So
yeah, NXT is a similar asset,
right.
basically.
So the point is, it's not like they have a monopoly on this. Anybody else could do it too. Anyway, the message that I got from this was, wow, this was bad. And so that was what I was tweeting about, and I think I said that this was a flop. And really, like I said, in stock market land, if you saw this as the initial public offering and this is what happened, it would be a flop. But wow, did these crypto guys come out of the woodwork and say this was a total success? But I got to tell you, from trading perspective, this is not what you want to see out of the gate. Now, let's now look at today. Well, actually, before we move on.
Can I add to that too, Brian? I mean, I think a big part of this also is, Ethereum did a pre-sale. They raised, I think
That's
$2
right.
billion bucks. So, all these people were sitting here for months and months and months waiting to get their coins.
Right.
And as soon as they get their coins, what are they going to do? They want to they want to unload. They want to, go buy whatever they're going to buy with their Bitcoin, and they need to transfer to Bitcoin.
That's right. And so that is not how you run a good IPO, right? That, if anything, this is a classic hallmark of, what they did was the crowd source funding, right?
Yep.
And this was handled terribly. If Ethereum was a really good investment, those people that bought that crowdfunding, they should have not said, no, I'm not going to sell. They should have said, this is a good investment. I want to hold on to this to the day I die.
Right.
But that's not what's happened here. Again, so if anything, what we're, now in the sort of crypto universe, I got a lot of feedback. Hey, I did really, really well on this investment. I don't know. I mean, having this crowdsource funding where you take a bunch of paper for an investment and then that paper is locked up indefinitely, to me and to the stock market, that's not an initial public offering. That's what's called seed capital. You're still in a very much seed capital, and you are not IPOing. So I think, in a way, and it was interesting because through this whole debate that I had online with all of these people, I actually went on the internet and I just was like, Google, could you please define what ICO, or initial coin offering, is? And nowhere could I get a definitive definition.
Yeah, it's a gray term. I mean, it's different for every coin just based on the parameters. Some of them are pre-mined, some of them are actually not. Some of them launch directly on the exchange. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know if there is a real definition out there yet.
right. So it's kind of interesting how people shit on me about misusing the ICO term when, frankly, I don't think anybody's actually defined definitively what an ICO is and whether you could actually say that what Ethereum did is the textbook definition of an ICO. So anyway, that's here nor there. Hopefully I put that to bed. The daily chart that we look at Kraken here, this doesn't fill you with a lot of bullishness. Just the simple fact that it doesn't have that much trade history. How many coins did we just looked at a coin that it had an initial range and it lost the bottom of the range, didn't it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? What was that? That was OJ or whatever. We were just looking
Orange
at a
coin,
moment ago,
OC.
right? So, there is the bottom of that first day's candle. In my opinion, that is now a brick wall. Right? We could now, if we do so little things like reload zones, right? We just draw our fibby fib. We're heading back up here. I think you could very easily see a nice little battle, right up in there, right? That wouldn't surprise me one bit. Now, what was really cool is somebody, the other day was asking me, Brian, what would you do? What are you thinking? And I had tweeted out about halfway through the day, there's that first day, kapow, total faceplant. Me fighting with the community and them saying this is an unmitigated success and I'm just watching price collapse here, right? And then finally we started to stabilize. And it was interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to say this. I mean, I realize it's Ethereum, but it does look familiar to a lot of these other markets where there's that long channel there, and then before you know it.
Isn't it incredible how the funny thing is, people, when I talk to people about charts, it's like they expect to see a brand new thing on every chart, when the irony of it all is...
I guess the difference is this is only in a 30-minute time frame, though. So, this isn't spread out over days and days.
That's right. And so earlier, we were talking a little bit about, some people want that, 2-hour, 5-hour trade, right? And some people are okay to invest and hold on to something for a month or two, right? The irony of it all it is just your time frame perspective. All the signals, all the price structure, all the fibs, everything, it's all exactly the same. So, very good observation, Will, in that hopefully you guys see something very similar in price here. This is off a 30-minute chart. Usually day traders like the 15, 30-minute charts. With this crazy one bar, it's awfully tough to analyze this. But if we use this rally peak as sort of our last major resistance, then, we can start to justify ultimately a rally back up into this area. And you can imagine any Joe Schlub, because keep in mind, all the smarty pantses that are all proud of themselves for doing the ICO or seed funding or whatever, and then selling in here and booking a profit, keep in mind, they are selling to somebody. Somebody had to be on the buy side, on the other side of that transaction, right? So, like this kind of commentary that I made off of this chart, the community didn't like this one, right? This was this Ethereum as it was just cratering, right? They keep in mind that there were poor retail people that bought in here, and they're just getting destroyed. And where was that other one that I had? There was another that shorter. Yeah, here we are, right? Where, oh my, and they bought, there were retail customers that bought in here. Somebody had to buy off all these smarty pantses that were selling the seed capital financing and making great returns, right? Somebody had to buy this. And so, when we get down to this point, hopefully you guys can appreciate that if we even get back to anywhere close to this, the guys that bought through this, they're so going to get out of there, right? So, what a coincidence, right? There's our reload zone, or Mr. Huddleston's OTE, right up in here. Here's a wicked traffic area. And I guarantee you, absolutely guarantee you, any retail customer who bought in here, they are just praying that price will get back up into this window and they can get their original money back. Right? Where is that? That's still way up there.
Yeah,
So,
so
the
there's
point
going to be a
here,
battle up there, and it's going to top out most likely in that range.
yeah. So, if you're going to be day trading these kind of things, I really like the double bottom within the double bottom. So, very much like we have on Bitcoin. Remember we had this trading range established on Bitcoin. Looked very similar, right? You guys remember that? Back in early January, Bitcoin put in similar kind of thing.
Yep.
And we just went sideways. You notice that within this range, right, we started to put in more little double bottoms. You guys see that?
Yep.
You could have taken this trade right there off of this double bottom and risked to this low. If you bought here, right, that lets you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 key lows to defend your stop. Sure enough, the market pulled back, it tested these lows, and then just took off like a rocket. Cool little trade, eh?
Yeah.
And what's really
did
cool
you get
about
in?
this, well, I don't
oh
know.
yeah, you're not on Kraken. That's right.
Yeah, I don't have an account on
We gotta
Kraken.
get you on Kraken, Brian.
Gotta get Kraken on Kraken, eh?
Gotta get Kraken.
All right, so as you can see, and I think this is what I pointed out to the community, is this is no accident, right? This, I think, was set up as a nice 2-to-1 risk reward. And sure enough, you can see the market rallied right up to that and then backed right off. All right, isn't that cool? And then interestingly enough, this double bottom pattern sets up our trend following setup. So this is our double bottom within double bottom. And then another setup that I trade is what's called the bot, and we use that to trade trending markets. And all it is a play on BCDs. So if we let's go to the bottom there. What the hell? So AB, and then we'll clone that. Consolidation was low. That low there, CD. So to play the bot, and we don't need to go into too much detail, but basically we want at least a 33% correction, but no more than 66, and you can see that's where the correction was too. And then all we want to do is just clone this so it matches up with the harmonic patterns. And then the bot levels to actually take the trade are all predetermined. 25%. 50% you move your stop, 66% you move your stop to trailing, and of course you have your exit order at 100%. And as you can see, if you had taken this range, whoops, let's move you over. I can't see you. Let's move you over there. All right, something like that. Your entry comes right off of here. Stop to break even, stop to trail. Your target is still a little bit higher, right? There it is, 51.7414. All those people trading Ethereum, keep that number in mind. And you can see how the market is just struggling to work its way up into here. Because the stop to trail level has been hit, I don't have a problem if, people got sort of antsy and if we broke through these lows just to get the heck out of here and book the profit.
Yeah. Cut their losses a little bit.
So that's the best that I can do for Ethereum off of the lower time frame. As we said, off of the higher time frame daily, I think this thing's going to run into a major brick wall up at about 7,500. OTERLZ is up here at about 88 to 0.01. Ultimately, I could see the market move up there. Remember, like we say, tails and wicks like to be eaten. But really, for a guy like me, I think I'd like to see this rally up into here. 38.2 usually acts as our first stop target, so maybe a bit of a pullback, come down, test these lows. If we did that, and then we put in a nice cute little W down in here, then I could actually think about buying this. All right, so those are my thoughts on Ethereum.
What's next up to the plate?
I don't know. Let's see what we got here. Number 4. Maybe. How are we doing on time? All right, next is Start. Start. Are we doing okay on time?
Yeah, we're doing fine.
Okay. Have I put all you other guys to sleep yet? Everybody on the internet's going, yep, that's me.
I guess so. Rob
Okay.
and Julian are AWOL.
Sleeping.
Oh, there he is.
Muted.
All right, so
I was
this.
enthusiastically cheering you on, Brian, but my mic was on mute, so
Oh, okay.
it was all for naught.
I seem to remember I've been trying to get into this thing and I keep failing. You can see how it's got a nice little double bottom in there, right? Boom, 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 boom. And you can see, like, this is what I'm afraid of for Ethereum, right? Ugh. I got a funny feeling we're doing that right now on Ethereum, and there's one more leg to go down there. That's what I'm worried about for your Ethereum. You see how it lost this first day here? You see this? Same thing. Right? As soon as it
Yep.
lost that, and then the low of that candle turned out to be major resistance. You see that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm fearful of for Ethereum. So, anyway, moving back to this story. So, you guys have seen me talk at length about this, and, as Will pointed out a few minutes ago, I don't reinvent the wheel. I just keep looking for the same things over and over and over, right? So, here's our double bottom. Can't really see it too well because that high's so big. Right? Where the market went down, up, down, then turned around and broke out. You could, I suppose, have hunted OTE RLZs, right? Off of that. Let's switch this around. Doosh, doosh. That's one thing I'd love for you guys to get on this, is if you could do fib templates. See how other place where you get this, it has a little template and you can save templates.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just a silly technician talking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you had seen this monster breakout and you were like, man, I want to get in on this thing, I really wouldn't have a problem. There's our reload zone, right down in here. I wouldn't have a problem if you were like super, super eyes peeled and pulled the trigger right there. Not bad. Turns out to be a pretty good trade. Boom, off she goes. And then, of course, in typical sort of junior fashion, this happens a lot. If the rally goes too far too fast, then we might have to come right back down to the bottom. And sure enough, that's exactly what we did. We could do OTE RLZs off of this range, right? Boom, boom. And that would leave you hunting this zone. Now, here's a good example where we haven't broken the lows, but we went beyond the zone.
Looks like it tested the bottom of that.
Yeah, that's basically the range hypothesis, is that if we can force ourselves to buy here, we would like to see the bottom of the range hold, and our target is ultimately a test of the high. So let's see what happened. Holy moly, look at that. Did exactly what a range trader would want to see happen. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
So, missed another opportunity. Ay, caramba.
I wonder if any of these were influenced by news. It'd be interesting to see. I know Starcoin is meant for kind of crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe they were announcing, certain crowd funds, or they were promising.
Probably exactly what it was. Yeah. So here we are again. Nice base, big run up. Hopefully everybody watching this video from now on will just say, I will not FOMO buy any more up here. I just won't do it, right? And even on this one, there's the midpoint of the reload zone right in there. If you had just bought there and risked to these lows, right, and you would have had to wait, there's a double bottom right off the line in the sand. You could have added to the trade right there. Beautiful entry right there. Right? And then boom, it did it again. How many times can this thing do this? So, as one looks at this chart, one thing that kind of jumps out at me, a little concerned about, is this almost looks like a 3 drives. So be careful here. We've gone up. We've eaten this wick. It's a pretty big wick, you can see. They went up into it a little bit, left a little bit of a wick. So I would expect, just like they left a wick here and they left a wick here, my hunch is at some point down the road, this guy's going to be tested again. And really, I wouldn't be surprised if you could almost project something like that, or I wouldn't be surprised if our rally window comes in somewhere up in here. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And you can almost time series forecast this. I mean, it almost looks like it's getting a little faster, so that's good. Now, if I wanted to be a buyer, could I buy now? There's our high. Let's keep that low. Why not? 61.8 to 78.6. Sure isn't an interesting location, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's trying. We have a V bottom in momentum. I don't like momentum bottoms like this because at some point this will need to be tested. Willie did get stupid there, but we're not stupid anymore. And we really, we're trying to turn. You can see volume impetus is trying to turn here. Now I want to see follow through. I want to see the buyers just make new highs. Turn this OBV up nicely. We got a bearish moving average cross. Let's get a nice bullish moving average cross coming out of here.
I do see a W in there, by the way.
Yeah.
Not
correct.
a very strong one, though.
Yeah, you can see the tops of the wicks are right up here. We didn't break through there. On a closed line, it's close, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the way I would look at this is if I had to hold a gun to my head to do something, I think I would rather be on the long side if I could get in down here off of this bottom here. But for me, again, what I would prefer to see, do you notice how we saucer bottomed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to saucer bottom, it should look something like that. So we're probably close. Maybe just do a little bit of backfilling, and then away we go.
Cool.
Make sense?
So kind of wait and see. If you had a gun to your head,
it's an
you
interesting
buy, but...
story. Interesting story. I'd love to see a nice W come in here and here as well, right? I couldn't pull the trigger here. If I just blindly pulling the trigger now because I just am interested in picking some of this up, I might go in off of the line in the sand again, maybe off of this original double bottom, hoping that these lows here are solid. But, just like we talked about Arch, here's the original bottom. People that bought here, they're late to the party.
Mm-hmm.
The original bottom is here, so if anything, work your stink bid right off of this original breakout high and see if you can get some big panic dump to try and pick it up off of the original bottom there. If you absolutely had to have an order working.
Right.
Okay, last
Good
but
deal.
not least. Who was last?
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt, guys. I got to hop here.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Just because I got a couple things to take care of, and I got to get to bed. It's 11:30 almost here already.
Yeah, you take it easy, Slick.
Take her easy,
All right.
Julian.
Good luck with the rest of the show. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for coming out.
We don't need luck. We got Brian.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least, FLDC. Any idea what the heck this thing is?
This is folding coin, which is really interesting. This has been going on for many years, the folding at home project, and people, I think it started with PlayStation 2. Actually, you were able to do protein folding using your CPU on your PlayStation. And then it turned into, as computers got more powerful, you could do it on your computer, and I think PlayStation 3 even supported it. And now there's folding coin, which I've been talking actually to Rob about for a long time. Why don't they have an actual coin where you can actually, the mining exists based on folding proteins. And this is where it is. Now, I don't know if this is officially sanctioned by any body or if it's just set up by a couple individual developers, but if you check out the website, it looks pretty legit, looks pretty nice. So yeah.
All right.
So it has some kind of actual value behind the mining. It's not just crunching arbitrary numbers. It's actually doing something useful.
It's pretty heavy, right?
Mm.
200
Yep.
million and a billion totally authorized. So this isn't light by any means. Which is interesting to see that they could move it as violently as they did here, eh? Where the heck is that? Is that this thing? I mean, look at, considering how many coins are outstanding, to actually get it to move, that's more, almost a triple there. Maybe, I guess it's a little more than a triple. That's quite remarkable.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we know if those coins have been generated yet? I mean, it may still be.
Well, I think it says there's 200 million here in the float.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Wow. So they're already
It's just an
definitely a little way there.
observation. One of the other coins that we were looking at had a total supply of 1 million coins. So just people that are watching this, just please understand that just because we have these things up, this coin and that last coin that we were looking at, or I guess the one before it, they can very easily be apples and oranges, right? So this one in particular, Mr. Broken Record, obviously you know exactly what I'm going to say when you see this. All right. So, again, ICO or first listing date, whatever the heck you want to
Yeah,
call
I'm
it.
going to take a look at that. That might just be a chart anomaly
Right.
there.
Let's see what.
Sometimes exchanges will put out one trade at 1 Bitcoin initially, or really high, and our charting library will pick that up. So.
All right. Well, the same message that I was gonna, say about, with that Ethereum, right? So you can see this first candle. If we lose this low, it could be trouble. We lost the low, and sure enough, down she goes, right? I don't think that this thing is in a rip-roaring bull market. But what I do see is that you can see they took it down pretty low here. This says 19 sats, right? I love buying these coins when they're this cheap. In fact, I bought one recently, and I took just a world of shit on, excuse my French, on Twitter about buying this one, right down at the bottom here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I
looks
love.
familiar. Looks like she's about to go skyward.
Yeah. That's here nor there. The point here is that, what hopefully you guys are going to appreciate is that if and when it gets down here and it's down nice low number, I start getting really interested. So you can see we sort of panicked low here, came back up. Wicks and tails like to be eaten, so they ate him up. Then rallied back up, then consolidated. Nice consolidation, right? You can see a really nice little W that sort of came in right here, eh? So there was little anecdotal evidence that there might have been a turn happening here. And considering how far it had fallen, I think it's realistic to expect some sort of technical bounce. If we just take this high right here and just do a good old fibby fib off of that, you can see, let's get the zoom right, there we are. I think you could realistically expect 116 to 143, and sure enough, look at where she stopped, right at 116. There's good old Mountain Man. I swear, you don't know how many times Mountain Man used to literally hit that trade on the nose, and this is exactly what would happen. Drive you nuts. So in infamy, he now gets the official Mountain Man logo. Bam! Mountain Man just shorted that. So if you ever see the big M on my charts, that's what it means. That's in honor of a gentleman by the name of Brandon Rigo. Probably one of the best crude traders I've ever met. Anyway, the point of the matter here is that this really wasn't an unrealistic objective. And considering the double bottoms in here, I mean, even if you were lazy and didn't come to the trade until the double bottom was actually broken, and your risk to new lows, then even a 38.2 is a 2-to-1. 50% level is probably somewhere up in there, which is pretty realistic. That's a 3-to-1 risk reward. Not a bad trade whatsoever. The problem, of course, is what do you do now? Obviously you got your trade off. Your doubles you should have been realized. If you miss this original trade and you believe this story, and that's the key. If you're not a believer, then don't touch it. But if you believe, then I don't have a problem with you coming in, taking a little bit of a nibble, really try and determine what your risk profile is. Are you a little old lady? Are you a derivatives trader? Right? You can take our course to figure out what risk profile you are. But in essence, I really wouldn't have a problem if you wanted to try and sneak in and just grab some here. If you're going to be super margin trader, you got to get the heck out if it breaks 19. If you're just going to little old lady it, just take a nice simple risk. If this thing fails and it goes off the board, then it's a tax loss at the end of the year. Well, I really don't have a problem with that trade either. Really, at these levels, that's not that bad of an idea.
Yeah, it's really cheap, man.
Yeah, well, that's a good way of looking at it.
That's the beauty of crypto. You can buy a lot of these for $5.
Well, you can and you can't, right? I mean, the problem is you could have bought $5 worth of this thing up here at 420 ticks, right? And
yeah.
you'd be dying 1,000 deaths.
Yeah, that's
What
true. There's a huge supply, so I guess $5 really won't get you very far. You're right.
Well, what I like is if you can buy where it's actually down near 0 sats, well, at least you got a bit of a cushion. You know what I mean?
Can't go further than 0.
Right, and if it does, then it just means it goes off the board, and you kiss your investment goodbye. Right? If you are margin trading, you cannot take that luxury. You can't do it. But it's far too difficult for me to talk about all the different types of traders and risk profiles just on this show. The point here is if you are in doubt of what type of trader you are and what risk profile you should be trading with, then you got to get your butt into our school.
Right on. So should we kind of wrap it up at that? I think we're at about the hour and a half mark.
Yeah, that's not a bad segue.
I think it's good. So yeah, thanks again for watching. We do this every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific and I don't know, 10 p.m. Eastern. I had to calculate it in my head. So make sure to tune in, subscribe on YouTube. Just search for Coinigy on YouTube, and then our Twitter is Coinigy, and then CR Investor is Brian's alias on Twitter. So make sure to follow him. And Coinigy.com, if you like to see these tools that Brian's using, you can access them at Coinigy.com.
And the tutorials.
And the tutorials. Yep. And
so
Brian's school, I'll let Brian talk about that. Yep.
If anybody wants to learn about any of the stuff I talked about tonight, any of the tools, all those tutorials are sitting there waiting for you. And as well, like I said, just at the end of my little spiel there, our school is half eat your vegetables and half candy store. Everybody loves to play with charts and play with tools and fibs and moving averages and indicators. That's the candy store. That's the fun part about trading. But learning about self-discipline, learning about PMA, learning about persistence, learning about working with a trading plan, working within realistic risk parameters, all of those are what I like to call eating your vegetables. And that's the kind of value-added stuff that once you learn this stuff, you'll have it for the rest of your life. And I would really honor the ability to give you that information so that you have it for the rest of your life. And that means I want both of you in class this semester.
We'll see what we can do, Brian.
Yeah,
hey, you do realize we get our class every other Wednesday too.
Right,
a little bit in piece of it, but yes.
I can't. I mean, like I kind of said a couple times
No,
tonight.
I've been in your classes and I realized they're a lot more hands-on than
I mean,
so.
I appreciate what you're saying, and by all means, if you guys are writing notes, and anybody who's watching these videos, if you're writing notes and you're disciplined and you do what I say, then yeah, you should be able to learn a lot of this stuff. But putting it all together into a plan, that's sometimes a little tricky for people. That's where actually my 25 years of experience really helps.
Cool. Well, definitely check out therationalinvestor.co, and I think we can leave it at that. What do you guys say?
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Thanks
Cool.
a lot,
All right. Well,
everybody.
thanks a lot for watching, and we will catch you next time.
All right.